We all want to be creative and succeed, but sometimes it's hard to tap into that creative energy. Maybe you're in a creative slump or you have writer's block, and after countless hours of staring at a blank page, listening to that Aphex Twin ambient mix, hoping to get inspired, you might have just resorted to playing Fortnite or something until an idea magically comes to you. But what if I told you there was a way out of the goon cave and into the light of inspiration? My name's Karsten Craning, thank you again for watching this video, and today we're talking about creativity and specifically how to become more creative. In ancient times, they believed creativity was granted by a muse, who was a pretty lady whom people would pray to, and sometimes every once in a while she would use her powers to make people creative and get them inspired whenever she felt like it. And while most of us today don't think that creativity comes from some divine spirit lady, we do sort of have a similar mindset towards creativity and inspiration, that it's somewhat random and we really have no way of harnessing it. But creativity in reality is more like a muscle, and you can exercise that muscle to use it more effectively. So today I'm going to sort of go over the exercises or hacks to practice on your creative muscle so that you can tap into it more effectively. And I want to also say that these practices that I'm going to suggest today don't just work for one creative field. Also, disclaimer, these aren't the only ways to sort of exercise your creative muscle. For example, I know David Lynch and a lot of other people rely on meditation to sort of help their creative muscles. The first step of exercising your creative muscle so you can sort of tap into that energy more is making sure that muscle is nourished. Kind of like how you need to eat healthy and eat a lot to be able to work out at the gym, you also need to sort of consume healthy content for your creative muscle to be nourished. And the way you do that is by learning more and consuming more art and more educational media. Look, no idea comes from nowhere. Everybody is inspired by other people. The best artists are all well educated in art and the world in general, and that's what helps them create art more consistently, is that they keep educated and they keep learning. And education to nourish your creative muscle can come from all sorts of things. It can be listening to music, watching film, looking at different photography, art, architecture, fashion, a lot of different educational content, learning about history, learning about science, literature, plays, whatever it might be. The only art form I might leave off the list of what's not considered healthy content for your creative muscle is video games, but that sort of depends. Because like if you're playing something like Silent Hill or Omari, or something that has more artistic merit and is focused on visuals and storytelling, that might be healthy for you to consume for your creative muscle. But if it's something more like Fortnite, probably not. The point is that those more competitive multiplayer games, while they are fun and entertaining, won't necessarily usually help you and nourish your creative muscle. And that's not the only thing you should avoid, like if you're just like watching Barstool or TikTok. All those things, as entertaining as they might be, they aren't really going to be healthy for your creative muscle. They're kind of just like junk food. Like it's not bad to have all the time, but they really aren't nourishing and you can't live on a diet of that alone. The media you consume matters, especially when it comes to your creativity. So you have to try to consume things that are healthy for your creative muscles because there is a wide variety of things. A great way to start is if you're in college or high school, go try to take some art or art history classes. Or if you're not in high school or college, go to YouTube. There's a lot of amazing video essays. And again, this doesn't need to be strictly educational content, just new content that has artistic merit or integrity. You know what inspired Kanye West's Yeezus? Because I bet you can't guess. It's this lamp. This lamp. Yep, Kanye West saw this lamp and was like, oh shit, I gotta make an... It's pretty funny, but the point is if you're interested in music, you don't just have to consume music. When it comes to consuming healthy content, it doesn't just need to be the medium you're interested in. It's helpful to consume a wide range of healthy content. One really good example of this that I want to talk about is JPEG Mafia. JPEG Mafia is an amazing rapper and producer and just artist in general. And one of the reasons he's able to be so creative and so different and so good at what he does is because of the media and content he consumes. In particular, Peggy consumes a lot of content that's very different from other people in the rap sphere. Peggy is known to be a big industrial and experimental music fan. Peggy is known to listen to a lot of Throbbing Gristle and Skinny Puppy, things that aren't usually considered to be compatible with hip-hop. It's actually really helped him and inspired him to think outside of the box with his production and make some incredibly different and creative beats. So don't be afraid to try new things when you're consuming media. It's okay if something doesn't seem like it directly connects. That might even be for the better. Now, one of the bigger caveats or things you need to know about nourishing your creative muscle and feeding it new content is that it has to be new content. As humans, we sort of have this thing where we fall into maybe always watching the same movie or listening to the same music. We're creatures of habits. We like to consume the things that we know and we're familiar with and we know we like. But with nourishing your creative muscle, there needs to be an emphasis on always putting new things in there. And one method that I have kind of learned and picked up from that's really helped me do that is something called the Henry Rollins method. I would encourage you guys to try this, but Henry Rollins was the lead singer of this band called Black Flag, and when he wasn't making music or yelling at kids,
"Okay, boy, wrap it up." Some people's, "I gotta get backstage to my women and my coke."
He developed this sort of disciplined method of listening to music that really helped him be more creative. His method for listening to music was this. On the weekdays, he would listen only to new music or music he wasn't familiar with. And then on the weekends, he would allow himself to listen to music that he liked or was familiar with. And this meant the majority of his time he would actually spend consuming new content that would help him nourish his creative muscle. And this is something that I actually did for a long time and a good period of my life. And it really helped me develop and become more inspired. And this can be done with really anything. It doesn't just have to be listening to new music. It could be maybe on the weekdays you only watch new movies, or maybe you set up the discipline a little bit differently, that instead of watching TikTok on weekdays, you watch video essays or something more educational. I don't know what it might be. Whatever it is, swap it out for whatever works for you or feels the most natural. But it's just the point of using this method of setting yourself a discipline to nourish your creative muscle for more time. So now we know that step one is creating a healthy diet for your creative muscle by consuming healthy content. The second step is actually exercising it. Traditional brainstorming can be kind of tricky and challenging. Like just sitting down and being like, okay, let me have a good idea, come to me, is pretty hard. However, one of the best places and ways that you can exercise your creative muscle and really create an energy to tap into your creativity is by actually exercising, like exercising your body. Yeah, the whole metaphor about like exercising your creative muscle is going to turn into I'm actually going to suggest you literally exercise. Not just any type of exercise will help you generate ideas and become more creative, but particular exercises where you're sort of mindless. And when I say mindless, I mean that you don't have to think too much while you're exercising or about what you're actually doing. Your brain will have to sort of be on autopilot. So like if you're playing football or soccer or another sport where you really have to concentrate on the game and what you're doing and maybe like your strategy, that's not going to be a good type of exercising to help you tap into your creative energy. But if you're doing something familiar, like a workout routine that you've done for a long time, or if you're running a familiar route, or you're taking long walks, or if you're hiking a trail that you've done before, your brain is going to be on autopilot in these situations because you're familiar with it. And these are the environments and exercise that's actually very ideal for boosting your creative energy, whether it be while you're doing it or just after. When your brain is on autopilot, it's a really good time for creative energy. A good example of when your brain is on autopilot is when you're in the shower. And this is where a lot of people say their best ideas come from, the shower. Except unfortunately, you just can't stand in the shower all day or your hands would get all pruny. That's not really good for the water bill. But exercising in a routine is something that actually helps a lot with getting your brain on autopilot and is a time for you to be able to tap into that creative muscle. There are some studies that have been done where they take two groups of people, one who exercise and one who don't, and they always find that the ones who exercise have much higher neural activity. Exercising obviously has a lot of benefits, but the one that's seldom talked about is how much it helps with regulating your brain and making you more creative. I am not a scientist, So if the studies I'm referencing or putting up here are wrong in some way, please let me know in the comments and correct me. And there are actually some pretty good examples of this. You guys might know is actually Rick Owens. Rick, of course, is one of the most important fashion designers today. And one of the reasons he's so highly regarded is because of how consistent he is. Not only is he really good at what he does, but he's continually being more creative and innovating and reinventing himself. One thing to know about Rick is what he's really invested in besides clothes is working out and exercising. Rick has a very strict workout regimen that he is extremely devoted to. And besides helping him look like one of the best in shape 60-year-olds of all time, it's also been really important to his creative output. Rick talks about pretty often how his disciplined lifestyle, including his exercises and his routine, has contributed greatly to his creative success and outputs. Another great example of this, of someone who's not in fashion, is Yukio Miyashima. Yukio Miyashima was famous for a lot of things, whether it be his amazing plays or novels, or how he attempted to take over a military base in a failed coup that resulted in him committing ritual seppuku. Now let's take that last part out of the equation and everything controversial that comes with that part of Yukio Miyashima. Miyashima was an incredible author and one of the greatest in Japanese history, if not the 20th century in general. He wasn't one of those authors that just wrote one or two good books and that was sort of their whole career. He wrote a lot of books and created a lot of really awesome, significant works. And again, one of the things he cited for his success was his disciplined workout regimen and his discipline in general. Miyashima was extremely disciplined when it came to exercising. He was a bodybuilder, and he even wrote a book on his philosophy for working out called Sun and Steel, which I would 100% recommend. And look, I'm not saying you need to go crazy and start working out and become crazy fit or crazy jacked, and that's gonna help you become more creative. But the science is that if you're just taking a 15 to 30 minute walk a day, that really helps. The point is you can't just be sitting in your house every day not moving your body. Walking, running, hiking, working out, whatever it might be, exercising in general has a profound impact on allowing you to be more creative and to access that creative energy and use that creative muscle. Now, again, all of these tips and ideas, they might not work for you. There are other ways of exercising your creative muscle, and if you have a specific way that you want to mention down in the comments, leave it down there. Like, for example, David Lynch's meditation, whatever it might be. But I wanted to make this video because I thought it would be important for you guys, because I know so many people who talk to me about suffering from writer's block or just being stuck in creative slumps. And I just wanted to share with you what I have found to be helpful. Let me know down in the comments what you guys think about this video, and if this helps you, let me know. My name is Carson Craning again, and have a great day. Subscribe, give this a like, share it with a friend, and I will see you next time.